Hi, I'm Sherry Hyatt. For my second critique, I looked at the study called Children's Enjoyment and Perceptions of Computer Use in the Home and the School by Mumtaz, and it was in the Computers and Education Journal. The purpose of the study, as described within the paper, is easily understood by the title: to explore children's perceptions and experiences of computer use in the home and the school. And the goal was that these findings could then be used by educators to make good decisions about computer usage within the school setting. The research was conducted in Great Britain by having 322 students from ages 8 to 10 that did have access to computers at home complete a questionnaire survey. This questionnaire took about 20 minutes and consisted of questions about the frequency of computer use and the purpose and their attitudes, with questions about attitude being subdivided into questions on self-confidence and whether they liked using the computers. Most of the questions were answered with a Likert-type scale, and there were a few questions where students could write in an answer as well. After data was coded and emerging themes were identified, the data was compiled into several different tables. The info was then broken down to compare the use and attitude at home, to school, and to analyze the differences among gender. Depending on the table and what variables were being looked at, data was represented in percents or averages. Standard deviation was shown in all the tables, and analysis of variance was used as a statistical technique. Some results found from the surveys are that computers were used at home more than school, that computers at school were used mostly for word processing, which the students found tame or boring, to put in their own words, that students prefer using computers for games, no surprise there, and that students prefer using computers at home other than over school. Also, all the students, both boys and girls, found it most frustrating when their most frustrating moments are when there's technical errors in a program, whether they're at home or at school. Some gender differences were also found in the results. Although both boys and girls cited games being their favorite activity, boys do use the computers for games more so than the girls. Girls use the computers more for emailing, communicating than the boys did. Also, boys use computers at home more than the girls for a larger percentage of the time. And boys were found to be more confident using technology, the computers, than girls. The researchers' conclusions include that schools should learn from what works at home, very similar to what was stated in the purpose statement. Also, that using a home computer has positive effects on students' attitudes and their confidence levels. And also that educators must ask if the computer tasks that they're asking students to do are challenging or interesting to the students. Since the research found a positive effect of using computers, it was suggested in the paper that further research could examine characteristics of students without home access, since those students weren't included in this study at all. Also, that there be longitudinal research of changes of computer use with age, both for girls and boys. And also to examine practical interventions that teachers may try using to close the gap between the home and school computer perceptions and use. Looking at the positives of the study, I must include that there was a very thorough review and usage of the literature and previous studies. Each finding that the study discussed referred back to other studies to note whether the findings were consistent or not, and they were always found consistent. Another positive was the way each area of the survey was viewed and analyzed through a gender lens as well. Also, the presentation of the data in the easy-to-follow tables was useful. And through the description of how the statistics was done, I felt sure that this was done very accurately and appropriately. As for the weak points, there was no clear research question. It could be inferred by the title and introduction, but it was never explicitly stated. Limitations weren't discussed, no biases bracketed. It was just weak on following the full research process. The most glaring weakness was the methodology. I think this may stem from not having as clear research questions to guide the research. It was said that the computer perceptions and usage would be explored, and one mere 20-minute survey doesn't explore. It was claimed that both qualitative and quantitative methods were used, but I don't think a few blanks included on a survey make for a rich qualitative description. It was even mentioned that on some of the blanks, no students wrote an answer to specify. There was one aspect of triangulation in that the teachers were questioned to see that what the students claimed as usage of computers in school matched, but triangulation should also have been used in regards to home usage by possibly having at least some parents respond to a survey as well. So overall, I felt that this study was a very surface level piece of research. It was too brief at gathering data. It didn't produce what it promised. Nothing was researched that hadn't already been researched. There's no new findings. So there isn't a whole lot I got out of this to utilize myself. It's mostly common sense. But I have noticed in the past 2 days that I've been more conscious about the gender differences when I'm in the computer lab with my classes. I'm noticing more what types of activities the students are choosing from their assigned website. I do think it would be beneficial for further research along this line to include analyzing socioeconomic differences as well.